Ever kind of put off checking your investments after, a rough week on Wall Street?
Yeah.
Like, maybe if you don't look, the numbers can't hurt you.
Right.
Yeah, me too. But imagine living through a time when the market didn't just dip, it's like, I don't know, completely nosedived.
Yeah.
Black Thursday, and we're diving deep into, this is really interesting, an analysis of that day, October 24th, 1929.
Wow.
The lead up, the crash itself, and then the whole economic earthquake that followed.
Yeah.
So we're going to find out why this blast from the past is still, I think, really relevant today.
Well, Black Thursday, that's a powerful remander that sometimes, what looks like a really booming economy can be a little shaky.
Okay.
Take the Roaring 20s,
Yeah.
flapper dresses, jazz music.
Yeah.
This sense of endless prosperity.
Yes.
But it wasn't all, champagne and confetti, was it?
No, definitely not getting that full picture.
Yeah. Industries like automobile manufacturing were really booming.
Yeah.
Ford was like the tech giant of its day.
Right.
And its success had these massive ripple effects on steel, glass, even on infrastructure. But, and this is important, this prosperity, it wasn't shared by everyone.
Okay.
Many were being left behind. And that inequality, it played a huge role in what was to come.
It's like today, right? We see like the tech companies, they're skyrocketing, but there's, plenty of people who are struggling and wondering if they'll ever, get a piece.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like I say, a rising tide doesn't lift all boats.
Exactly. And what made the Roaring 20s even more, I guess you could say, precarious was this new fascination with the stock market.
Okay.
It became synonymous with this idea of getting rich quick.
Right.
It wasn't just these, seasoned investors anymore. It was everyday people. They were pouring their savings into the market. And they were really caught up in this, I guess you could say, speculative frenzy.
Hold on. Can you break that down a little? For those of us who aren't, Wall Street wizards, what do you mean by speculative frenzy?
Imagine this. Everyone believes the market will just keep going up, up, up.
Yeah.
So they keep pouring more money in, hoping to ride that wave.
So kind of like, was it GameStop?
Yes.
A while back, where people just piled into a stock and it was, I don't know, more hype than anything else.
Exactly. And as we saw with GameStop, that kind of frenzy, it creates a bubble. And bubbles, well, they have a nasty habit of boasting.
Okay, so we've got this bubble. It's fueled by speculation, good times. But what was the pin that actually made it burst?
Well, it wasn't just one pin. It was more like, a bunch of them hitting all at once.
Okay.
You had over-speculation going on with stock prices. I mean, they were soaring way beyond, what companies were actually earning.
Right.
Then you add in rising interest rates, which made it, harder to borrow money.
So the music was already slowing down.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, someone kicked out the plug.
Pretty much. And on October 24th, 1929, that bubble finally burst.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know, someone opened a trap door and the entire market just fell through.
Whoa, paint me a picture of that day. What did it actually feel like to be in the middle of Black Thursday?
Imagine the New York Stock Exchange. Usually a scene of, buzzing energy.
Right.
Now picture it morphing into absolute chaos.
Why?
We're talking panic, selling on a scale never seen before.
Wow.
Brokers were completely overwhelmed by orders. Ticker tape machines couldn't even keep up.
Oh, wow.
And fortunes were evaporating in the blink of an eye.
That's intense. You can practically feel the panic in the air.
Yeah.
So what happened next? Didn't some of the big, financial players try to step in and stop the bleeding?
Right.
Weren't there stories about, like, JP Morgan and, his buddies?
You're right. There were attempts to, regain control.
Okay.
JP Morgan, along with a handful of other, I guess, really powerful bankers, they recognized just how serious the situation was.
Yeah.
And they tried to, flex their financial muscles and stabilize the market.
Okay.
They pooled their resources, bought up massive amounts of stock, hoping to, prop it back up.
So like a financial rescue mission? Did it work?
It was a valiant effort, but sadly, it wasn't enough. Their plan was like trying to patch a dam breach with a roll of duct tape,
Right.
The damage was just too widespread, the
Yeah.
panic too deep-rooted.
So Black Thursday, it wasn't just a bad day on Wall Street.
Yeah.
It was the start of something way bigger, right?
Yeah.
The Great Depression.
Exact.
And while we've been talking about millions of dollars,
Yeah,
vanishing into thin air,
right.
the real story here is the human cost, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Those losses those weren't just numbers on a screen.
Right.
They represented people's livelihoods, their dreams, their security.
Yeah.
Unemployment. It skyrocketed during the Depression.
Yeah.
Imagine 1 in 4 Americans out of work.
Wow.
Families who were, making ends meet were suddenly thrust into poverty,
Okay.
standing in those infamous bread lines that stretched for blocks.
It's hard to fathom that level of,
Yeah,
hardship. Yeah.
it was tough.
It wasn't just about losing a job, was it?
No.
It feels like Black Thursday sent these shockwaves through the entire,
Oh, yeah.
financial system.
It absolutely did. It shattered people's confidence.
Yeah.
Especially in banks.
Right.
Everyone panicked. They were rushing to withdraw their money
Right.
all at once.
Yeah.
Of course, that only made things worse.
Right.
Banks couldn't handle that kind of mass withdrawal.
Of course.
As a result, we saw waves of bank runs and closures all across the country.
Wow. Talk about a domino effect.
It really is.
One part goes down and then the whole system starts to, wobble a little bit.
For sure.
So how did the government try to, put the pieces back together
Right.
after a financial earthquake like that?
Initially, the response was slow.
Okay.
And if we're being honest, pretty inadequate.
Right.
It wasn't until Franklin D. Roosevelt took office in 1933
Okay.
that we saw a real shift in strategy.
Okay.
Roosevelt's New Deal, it brought about some really essential reforms,
Okay.
including the creation of the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Right. Right.
The SEC in 1934.
The SEC, right. They're like the referees
Yeah.
of Wall Street.
Making sure everybody's playing by the rules.
Exactly.
So no more Black Thursdays, hopefully.
That's the goal.
Right,
The SEC's job is to oversee the stock market,
right,
set rules for how stocks and bonds are issued,
right.
and most importantly, try to ensure transparency and fairness,
Okay,
to rebuild that public trust.
right.
And, it's interesting because even today,
Yeah,
almost a century later, the debate over government regulation in the market continues.
right.
It's this constant balancing act, trying to prevent another crash without stifling economic growth.
It makes you realize Black Thursday, it wasn't just a historical event.
Right.
It's a reminder that history, it has a way of repeating itself
It does.
if we don't learn from our mistakes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so hopefully we're learning.
Yeah, I hope so too. And taking away those lessons from Black Thursday.
And maybe that's the biggest takeaway from all of this.
Yeah.
A cautionary tale about the dangers of, unbridled speculation.
Oh, okay.
It's a stark reminder that what goes up must come down.
Right.
And sometimes that descent can be brutal.
For sure. For sure. Well, that's Black Thursday.
But that's Black Thursday.
It's a lot more than just a day. It's a whole, era
An era, that's a good way to put it.
that had repercussions that are still felt today.
Absolutely.
Really interesting stuff. Thanks for
Of course.
taking a deep dive with us.
My pleasure.
And for everyone listening, we'll catch you next time.